This is 1017 CHLY.
Welcome to Wellness Wednesday and the Chronic Wellness Radio Show. I'm your host, Sandra Sova, and I am excited to be with you here again, as I am always when I host Wellness Wednesdays. But today in particular, I am really pumped up. And it's not just because the snow has stopped and the sun is shining, but that is, that's definitely helping. But being that it is the day before Valentine's Day, I've decided to bring us all a gift of the heart. And not a commercial Valentine's Day experience with chocolates and flowers and words of romance, but more of a wider look at the gifts that we can find by gaining a higher understanding of our purpose, why we are here, what lessons we're supposed to be learning, and looking at our connection to each other, to our planet, and beyond. I am so excited for you to hear today from my guest. In just a few moments, Amber Kavanaugh, the West Coast medium, will be joining me here in the booth, and she will be here for the full hour. We are going to be talking about wellness from a very interesting angle. You may be familiar with Amber. She has a live event coming up on March 7th at the Nanaimo Golf Club, which she'll tell you about later. And we actually have 2 tickets to give away at the end of the program, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. So if you listen to the show or follow my page, Chronic Wellness Tips, you know that I talk about the mind and body connection all the time. How, in spite of having challenges, illness, or things like chronic pain, that we should be living with an attitude of achieving chronic wellness. And, as I always like to remind you, we do not need to be chronically ill to want to be chronically well. There is a third piece, and a very important one, that goes along with the mind-body connection, and that's our connection to energy and spirit. When it comes to our health and wellness, and really all our experiences, mind, body, and spirit is all connected. And the secret sauce to all of this seems to be having gratitude and joy in our lives. Our spiritual connection is always there, but we don't always tap into it as much as we could. So whether you are new to this concept, or perhaps even a skeptic, or if this is something you really embrace and draw from, I can pretty much guarantee that my guests today, or should I say guests, are going to bring us some interesting food for thought. My guest today is Amber, the West Coast medium. She is a medium, an empath, a psychic, a medical intuitive, and a healer. There are so many things that we could talk about, and I hope we get a chance to talk on a few topics. However, we are going to begin with the gratitude piece and how we as humans can get our brains around the idea of being grateful for having things that are challenging for us, such as a chronic illness, pain, or other health challenges. It's a juicy topic, and I cannot wait to get started. Welcome to the show, Amber, and thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So before we dive in, can you explain for our listeners the concept of guides, how we all have them, and maybe let us know who your guides are and if they are here with you now?
Sure. So our guides they're like teachers on the other side. So each of us has our own individual permanent guides. They help us plan our lives, each life that we live. They help us live our lives, and they help us, once we're back on the other side, to sort of debrief or learn from our lives and help us plan other ones. We all have guides that we choose, and they choose us, and that we will live our entire life with. It's not the same in every life, but it is the same for this one. So my permanent guides that are with me all of the time helping me, my dominant guide is named Gail. She's kind of like a friendly grandma. Mm-hmm. She's very, very wise, and her concern with the world is kind of this type of stuff. She likes the stuff that has to do with our human self, our mind, body, spirit connection, our physical bodies, and how everything works together. The second guide I have is named Jessica. She is the fun side of things. So she actually likes the entertainment. So she's here for the entertainment side of things. She's very funny. She loves doing the videos that I do, radio, TV, all of that. She wants to do it all. Not so much me, but she's the one that encourages me to do that sort of stuff. And my final permanent guide is Peter. He's also here today, which is strange because he doesn't always come to everything I do. He is a much higher level of consciousness, and he is concerned with the collective enlightenment of the world as a whole. And so he deals with much bigger messages. But I guess he likes this kind of stuff too. So each of us has guides like that. And then we'll have temporary guides that come in. So say you are somebody who's suffering from a chronic illness, chronic pain, something like that. You'll have a temporary guide come and help you with that specific thing. And then they will leave. Not leave, but go back to doing other things once they're no longer needed in that area. So we have 2 types.
When I've been watching your videos, and when people are usually seeing you visually, when you look off to the side, you're speaking to your guides. So where are they standing right now, Sion?
Right there.
Right over there? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I kind of always have them sort of to my right. Whoever's that guy sitting out there has a good spot because they're standing right next to him.
So before we get into this whole thing, and for people that are new, when we're talking about this life, you talked about, we have these permanent guides for this life and they help us over on the other side. Can you maybe briefly do the explanation of the start and end of life and our higher self and how that works?
Sure. So there is a part of us that's always on the other side. I call it our higher self. Some people call it your soul, your spirit, whatever that is for you. And that's sort of like, I see it kind of like a puppet master on the other side. Or I've explained it as there's like a rain cloud that is the highest you, and all of the little raindrops are all the lives you're living right now. So you always have this sort of level of consciousness, it's almost like a parent on the other side helping you. You're not necessarily aware of what they're doing or the choices they're making or why they make those choices. So I think sometimes your life can feel kind of out of control. But in the grand scheme of things, there's your higher self on the other side helping you through each life and plan each life. There's your guides on the other side helping as well. And your human self kind of goes along for the ride, although you do have free will, so you get to make choices as well.
I really like that, and I like the explanation of the rain cloud. And if you were here in the studio, you'd see us with our hands, like the picture of the rain cloud and the little raindrops falling on. But I think even just that the explanation of that, I think it's a really solid one. So, Amber, as we go along with the concept that as our higher self, we choose or plan our life, this life that we're living now, before we come here.
Yeah.
So along that way, if we have illness or pain, for example, it's part of the plan. And that can be a hard one for some people to get their head around because it can evoke anger or mixed feelings or emotions because it's misinterpreted to think, well, I'm choosing this here and now. So why would someone plan to live a life with some challenges like that?
Well, I think when humans talk about choice, automatically in there goes blame, right? So if I'm choosing it, then it's my fault that I'm feeling this way. You choose it on the other side, and you don't, on the other side, there's no good or bad. So everything is kind of on the same level. It's not like human society here. So when you plan these harder lessons into your life, whether it is a chronic illness, whether it's losing somebody close to you, going through anything difficult, you're planning these things because your soul is strong enough to not only just make it through them, scrape by, if you will. You're planning them because you know that you can overcome them, you can learn from them. And when you get back to the other side, rather than getting a high school diploma, you're getting a PhD in what it means to be a human. And so you don't choose these things to cause yourself to suffer. You choose these things to learn and to become more enlightened and to be more comfortable in yourself. Somebody who is a very young soul or new to the human experience would never plan a life where they have to suffer through really anything. And those are the people that society tells us are successful, right? The people whose lives are wonderful and they're born with a silver spoon in their mouth and they don't ever go through anything hard and the money just falls in their lap and they're born that way and they die that way. It looks in society's eyes like that's a good life, but that's actually a very young soul because they wouldn't survive if they had to go through the types of things an older soul would go through. So rather than seeing it as a choosing as in a blame, like you chose this, so just unchoose it, like get it together and unchoose it. It's you chose this because you knew you were strong enough to overcome this.
And in a way, in looking at it that way, it's almost, it gives it a different feel. It's like you say, there's no blame attached to that.
No.
It's like for myself personally, I know that going through some of the health challenges that I have really given me like some really, really great skill sets that I've been able to draw from. And if we look at that, you know, we've heard you're never given more than you can handle. I guess that's kind of the concept.
It is, but I think humans, when you say that, you still think, well, this feels like more than I can handle. So I don't know what you're like. I'm having a moment here. I'm having a breakdown. I'm not doing good today.
Yeah.
This is more than I can handle today. But you're still alive. So it's not actually more than you can handle. You're given exactly what you chose, exactly what you planned. So rather than it, I don't know, taking away the blame or causing blame for people should just be saying, holy smokes, I must be a very strong person if this is what I thought I should, you know, be able to survive and get through. Just changing that perspective a little so that it's not like a punishment. Oh, I chose to have this horrible life, or somebody, my higher self is choosing to punish me. So now I'm going to unchoose it. I don't want it anymore. So I'm just going to unchoose it. That's not really how it works. It's learning to embrace it, accept it, and have gratitude for it, even if you don't like it.
Right. One of the things that I found really helpful when I started watching your videos was when you said that when we're talking about illness or pain or cancer or anxiety, to not call it my pain, or like basically to take ownership of it. What's sort of the concept behind that?
As soon as you own it, it won't go away. It won't get better. So even if, you know, I'm not saying if you don't own it, it'll completely go away, but there can be improvements. There's a big difference. Anybody, I think, who is going through any type of chronic illness or pain probably has good days and bad days. If you wake up in the morning and you say, oh, my pain is so bad today, I don't know how I'm going to, you won't be able to do anything because you've just owned it. You've just told your mind, body, soul that this is what you're going to do today, and it won't go anywhere. Any of those words, my anxiety, my cancer, my pain, my anything, will tell your guides, tell your higher self that you are owning it and that you want to continue to do what you're doing in that moment, which is to continue to learn. And to them, it's not a bad thing because they see it as, wow, she's choosing to be strong today and learn. Whereas as a human, we're kind of like, no, I would choose not to do that today. So take away any of those owning words and check yourself over and over again, because we don't realize how we even say my cold. Oh, my cold is really bothering me. My allergies, my flu, things that, you know, normally would maybe last 5 days. If you own it, you're going to have about 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks of the same cold that might have only lasted 5 days.
So within the chronic illness community, one of the things that is really hard for me to see is how there is not only so much of that ownership of my illness, it's people almost feeling that they feel like they're being judged. They feel that they're, you know, being questioned. Well, why can't you participate in that? Why can't you come on this hike? Or why do you have to take time off? And so because that, they are spending effort to bring awareness, but the highlight of how difficult it is and that you don't understand, and people, if only people could understand how hard it is for me and I will never get better. And I get where that comes from, but that sounds like that's a really dangerous mindset.
Very much. You just need to reframe the perspective. It's okay to have a bad day and say, today I'm having a bad day, but really change your wording. There is a lot of power in words. People have been saying that since the beginning of time. So even if you do need to say that, you have to be really careful between kind of being strong and being trying to accept what's going on for you and practice that gratitude, and feeling like nothing's ever going to get better. Like really getting to like a kind of darker place of this is going to be the rest of my life. So I have to explain it to you now. Really watch the wording when you do that, because sometimes it can get to that place where you just want people to understand. And so you start saying, well, you would understand if you were going through what I am going through. You would understand if you knew my pain.
Right.
If you knew the pain I was suffering right now. So just change the wording, even if you have to explain it. There's a lot of power in that.
Yep.
They'll still understand what you're saying, but you're not telling your guides on the other side that you want to own this forever.
I think there's a lot of power in that, and it has to be. We just have to recheck ourselves, because it's habit, right?
Yeah.
It's habit. You've said a few times, and I've heard other coaches explain that this life that we're living, it's not even supposed to be 100% happy all the time. And that may be where some of the disconnect comes. Like if you're experiencing ongoing chronic pain, and chronic by definition means something that's ongoing or constantly reoccurring. If you're always expecting that your life is not good because you're not 100% happy, that's kind of not really the goal either.
No. So on the other side, everything is good. Everything is love. Everything's positive. Everything is happy. We come here to learn everything else. And our guides actually celebrate more. This sounds really bad when I say it out loud, but they celebrate more the difficult things, the hard things, the bad things, if you will, quotations, because I don't like the word bad, but they celebrate that more for us than they do the really good times. And you would think that's counterintuitive or counterproductive, but to them, that's where we do our best learning. When we can look at that thing that is so difficult and say, wow, that was really difficult. I am so thankful I was strong enough to do it, and that I still want to wake up tomorrow. That's what they celebrate. When we have a great day or a really, like the last few years for me have been pretty good. It doesn't mean there haven't been hard times, but they've been pretty good. My guides were equally as celebratory when my life was horrible and I hadn't accepted my gifts and each day was a struggle. Now I'm kind of coasting. Like it's not super easy, but it is a lot easier for me. My guides were very involved before. So it's just kind of understanding there is no punishment, because I think people can feel that way. Like somebody's punishing me. There's something. What did I do in this life to deserve this? What you did was you planned the perfect life for the human you are right now and the strength you have within you. You planned no more and no less. And at any moment, you have the power to change that. You might not have the power to get rid of the pain completely. You have the power to have a different mindset while living with that pain, to be grateful for the fact that you even get the opportunity to wake up each day. So it's really just a reframing.
It's a reframing and it's a refocus. Last month on the show, I had a guest that was talking about how they're using virtual reality and gaming as a form of distraction to get you to focus onto something else, because sometimes it's hard when you're just focusing on the pain thing.
Yeah.
So you apply techniques like that plus reframing it. However, when we think about this and having chronic pain or illness, it's not easy and it can have challenges. We're not saying at all that that's not the case. But if in this grand scheme of things, if joy and gratitude are basically the key that fits the lock for this life, what would your guides say to help people that are suffering in pain, for example, and struggle on how to find that joy?
Jessica wants to chime in because for her, everything is so joyful. She sees a lot of joy in the human experience, even when we're having a hard time. I think noticing the small things. So, sorry, she's showing me a person's day. This must be somebody who's watching because some days they can get up in the morning and they can go about their days. Other days they get up in the morning, they make a cup of tea and that is all they do. They sit in a chair and they can't move the rest of the day. So be grateful for the cup of tea. Be grateful that you didn't have to stay in bed that day. Have joy that maybe you can make it outside to have your cup of tea on the porch, or you can sit by a window and enjoy the people walking by. There is always something, no matter how small, that you can find joy in your day. They also would say, whenever possible, full stop, all of the time, get outside. Because it can really give us, you don't have to get outside and go on a vigorous speed walk. You don't even have to walk. just stand outside, breathe the air outside. It's always better if you can put your feet on the earth. Because when you can't feel that joy yourself, and I called them my toddler temper tantrums, when you just want to go, enough is enough, I'm sort of done, I don't want to do it today.
Which we all get that way.
We all, even I do that. Everybody does. Every human on the planet, every adult, not toddlers, not just toddlers, I guess. But get outside, get your feet on the earth, take a deep breath. And that in itself, that's joy, because there's a lot of people that don't have that option. So it's not necessarily comparing, say, your suffering to somebody else's. That's not what they mean. They mean recognizing that you have the ability to do those things. No matter how bad your day is, there is something somewhere you can be joyful for. And there is something somewhere that you can find gratitude for. Even tiny things. Gratitude for a cup of tea. Gratitude that you could make it to the washroom today. Gratitude that you could brush your teeth, or that you can breathe today. There's such, even if you have to take those really small things, there's something out there to be joyful for.
And I think that even with the smallest things, like being grateful for that cup of tea, it's like anything. It's a practice. And your mindset, I know at least for myself, if I start by feeling positive and grateful and open to the experiences of the day, that's what comes my way. Okay. So you can, if you even just start in a small little way, as that being your way that you practice beginning your day, the rest of it flows easier.
I always have a better day. And this is kind of across the board. So many of us wake up in the morning and the first thing we grab is a device, right? Got to check the Facebook. We got to check what's going on. Did anybody message in the night? And somebody like me who works mostly online really can fall down that rabbit hole. I have like a relaxing piano playlist. I put it on my phone, put my phone to the side, and I lay in bed, even if I only have 2 minutes. Doesn't seem like a long time, but it starts my day off amazing. I deep breathe. I call it 4-7-8 breathing. You breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, you breathe out for 8. That might be your only deep breaths that day. I've done readings for people that have not taken a deep breath in over 2 weeks. That is a long time for your body not to get the amount of oxygen it needs. And you can't do anything if you're not getting the right amount of oxygen. So I'm up to, I can't say I do this every day. I think I'm at about 5 days a week now that I do that. A couple of days a week I sleep in, or something happens, life gets in the way. But about 5 days a week I start my day. And I try and do 10 minutes, even if you have 2. Who doesn't have 2 minutes in the morning? Set your alarm 2 minutes earlier. It makes such a difference to your day.
And it's it's new habits to develop. And even if we catch ourselves with that old phrasing or that old terminology, it's never too late to stop and just recheck and reframe. And so we should grab that cup of tea and we should go outside, because
even in the cold,
connecting with nature is energetically beneficial for us as well.
And it will give you what you're not giving yourself in that moment. The earth has no choice really but to replenish our energy. It's our biggest store of energy that exists in our human dimension right now. And you will, no matter who you are, feel better for being outside. If you can get to a place you love, it's even better. But honestly, if you live on a busy street and you walk outside and you just stand on your porch, or you stand on your balcony if you're in an apartment, breathe in that fresh air, it's going to do so much more for you than almost anything that you're going to do inside your house. So even if you can't physically get outside, open a window, get that fresh air coming in.
Yep, and you can, even just like poking your head out and getting that in, and that breathing. I mean, even as you were saying that, it's just like, okay, yeah, right. We're supposed to be doing proper breathing, and so many of us don't.
And those deep breaths, you should at least get 20 to 30 of them a day. Most people, maybe once a week, they're doing that, unless they're somebody who's more aware of their physical body and has been taught these skills. It is that easy. Before every reading, I do 4-7-8 breathing. Every meditation, I do it. And I only do 2 or 3. You don't have to do 10. It's also the best cure for insomnia. You do 4-7-8 breathing, you will fall asleep 100%, because it changes your mind frame to concentrate on something else and kind of tricks your brain. And I have a sister who now that's what she uses every time she can't sleep.
So breathe in for 4 seconds,
Yeah.
hold for 7.
A slow 4.
Right.
So it's not a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 1, 2, very slow. You hold it for 7. And the long exhalation is just as important as the holding. So a very slow 8 if you're capable. If you're not capable and you can't hold it that long, obviously do what you can. But it's something about that pattern of 4, 7, 8. It works wonders for the human body. And it gives you oxygen. You cannot heal anything in your body if you're depleted in oxygen. And I would say, well, I wouldn't. Gail would say probably about 90% of the population does not have enough oxygen within their body.
Okay, everyone, right now, deep breath.
Yeah.
That's really good for us.
It
It's
is.
really good for us. And again, you know, so many of these tools and techniques, they are about as simple as you can get. You're not buying anything. You're just working with what you have, and we have these bodies, and they can help us out if we remember how to use them.
Yeah. If we don't ignore them, we do a lot of ignoring our
We do.
bodies. That seems to be par for the course, that we don't pay attention. I don't have a choice anymore than to pay attention, because anything going on for me is magnified just because of my energy. But people come to me and they just have no idea what is going on in their physical body and why. And that's where my sort of medical intuition comes in, or how to fix it, or how to do anything about it. So just these small, simple things to get your body working how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And if you are physically capable, I cannot say enough about walking. Not speed walking, just a regular old stroll outside. Just like, you know, the breathing and the standing outside, walking will do wonders, especially because I think a lot of the time with any type of chronic illness or chronic pain comes a level of anxiety, because there's so much fear involved. Number one, you fear for your life. You fear how you're doing. You begin to fear pain. You fear judgment from other people, or that they're going to think you're being a victim. All of that sort of stuff. Walking can help you to let go of it. And you can ask your guides, even if you don't believe in them, ask your higher self, whatever you believe in, God, the earth, whatever works for you, ask that to come and help you to cleanse that. I do energy cleanses on myself multiple times a day, because you do pick up stuff as a human.
So that's, I got a question on one of my groups from someone asking about how can you use meditation, and when we say meditation, it doesn't have to be sitting in, meditation can be simply like going for a walk or when you're tuning in. So are we able to, they wanted to know if we can ask spirit healers to help us. And you just said, let's ask our guides.
Yeah, we can 100% ask your guides. The thing you have to have there is faith. So you don't have to have faith in religion or God or spirituality or anything that I talk about. You just have to have faith that it will work. If you do not have faith, it will work. Just like if you do not have faith that things will get better, they won't. Because without that faith, you're telling the universe this is what you're choosing. So you have to have faith that those walks will help with the anxiety you might be going through. That standing outside will help your energy. That deep breathing will help you to feel more centered and grounded. So the faith piece is really important. And I think our society has twisted faith a little bit. It's become more of a religious, right? It sounds more religious. But that's just even faith in yourself. If you don't have the faith in yourself that you have the strength to get through each day, let me tell you, your day is going to be hard. If you don't have faith that there is something out there in some way bigger than you, even if it is just the earth, which is obviously bigger than you, that can help you with your energetic balance, you're going to be feeling pretty anxious. So really understanding that there is this interconnectedness between whatever it is you feel and what you believe is there. For me, meditation, and I say this all the time because I suck at conventional meditating, I can't do the people say they can sit for 3 hours and their mind does nothing. There's absolutely no way I could do that. So for me, my meditation, obviously I pray before, I call it praying, but it's talking to my guides, talking to my higher self and the higher energy on the other side. I take baths. That's my number one. I've had back issues my whole life, and so that keeps me in check, having those baths. Walking and hiking is very important for me, spending time with my animals. Some people like the beach. Some people like forests. Some people like to read a book and have a cup of tea. Also meditation. I would always say meditation should not be done unless you're in a meditating class, as a group thing. So walking with your girlfriends, not so much a meditation. Walking on your own would qualify more. Sitting and reading a book at a coffee shop could be a meditation. If you're with a group, probably not so much. It really is time that's just for you.
Yeah, no, it is. It's that tuning inward and being silent enough to hear what's coming your way. You did a pay attention video some months back that was really quite powerful. And in that, there was a lot of talk about compassion and how we as humans really need to be paying attention to how we treat ourselves, which we were just talking about, how we treat one another, and be paying more attention to our connections to each other and the earth and even to the other side. It sounds very healing to me.
Yeah, that was actually my first video with Peter. The first one that I was aware of, I guess. And he really does concentrate on those bigger things in the world. And for him, he explained it as one day we will get to the point where when one of us hurts, we all feel it. We are not there yet. There are a lot of people that hurt a lot of other people. There's a lot of people that are hurting, and we don't feel that. We don't experience that. Part of my gifts is my empathic gifts. So if I'm around anybody, I can feel what they're feeling at any given point. There will be a point where we're all like that. Right now, there's more of us than any other time in history that are like that, but it's still, we don't understand the connection. We don't understand that, when we have all of this stuff, even in our town right now going on with, there's such a discrepancy between, people with money and people without, an economic discrepancy. And I've just never seen so much anger and so much hate, but I've also never seen so many people coming together. So there's this entire kind of collective consciousness that we as humans, we're still very, that's nice. Jessica says self-centered, but I don't know if that's the right word, but still very focused on ourselves. How are we doing in this moment? What we really should look at is how our connections are doing. If those aren't doing well, we're also not doing well. How many of us isolate when we're not doing well? We kind of drop off the face of the earth. I'm guilty of that very often. Whereas if I just reached out, I would probably feel a heck of a lot better. Maybe I could get some help. But I think as a society, there are things that are okay, that are good, that are the way we're supposed to live, and there are things that are not okay, that are bad, and we're not supposed to live that way. On the other side, that doesn't exist. We aren't judged in that way. We as humans don't realize that yet. We like to label everybody. We like to put everybody in a box. We like everybody to fit where they're supposed to fit in society and stay in their place because we don't want no mixing. We don't want people moving all around. And we just don't understand that when one person is suffering, we're all suffering. We don't understand that. We like to point fingers and say, well, if you weren't doing this or that or the other thing, your life would be better. So you just need to I made my life better. You need to make your life better. That's not how it works. It doesn't take a village just to raise a child. It takes a village to have a successful life as a human. And we like to run away from our village or pretend we don't have one or hide from them when things are bad. We need to do more reaching out. We need to do more connection and less thinking that people will never understand what we're going through or where we've come from.
So even though we as a whole are not feeling that impact and not picking that up empathically, like someone such as yourself, is it correct that right now our thoughts, our actions, our things that we are doing is having that effect on the earth now, even though we're not aware of it?
Yeah. 100%. We are becoming, and that's why I think Peter's more involved in my life now, is because as a collective consciousness, which is what we are, even though we don't see it, we are slowly moving forward. There are children being born now with choosing different challenges that they wouldn't have chosen 50 years ago. There's more people like me being born. There's more people that energetically are going to have a very difficult life, that are going to choose different illnesses or different genders, different anything, because as a society, we're going to accept them more now. It might not be easy, but we're not looking at them and going, especially people born with different abilities, different, issues with pain or with illness. We don't just stick them somewhere anymore and go, we'll stick you there and those people will take care of you. We'll see you later. It's now this understanding that our society needs to make space for everybody.
Everybody matters.
And 50 years ago, that was not the case. The people that didn't matter were hidden or weren't spoken about or were put somewhere. So even though it still does feel as a society, you know, especially in our economy, jobs, we don't make as many concessions as probably we should. We don't accommodate as much as we should. If you look at now and you look at even 20 years ago, there has been a huge improvement. We have a long way to go still, but there's been a huge improvement as to understanding the human condition and what it means to have to approach life in a different way that, you know, excites my guides, even though to us it almost feels maybe a little more out of control, a little more crazy, because there's so many things to consider now. There's so many ways to be politically correct now. I can't even keep up with it all. But it just means we're starting to understand that there are these different ways of living and these different ways of existing, and that we need to make space for that.
Yeah. And so a lot of the individuals that are here with either with challenges or different things, with all the stuff that's being talked about now with different gender issues and all of that, that's actually teaching. Very teaching for us, and we, you know, that's should be thought of in a different way. And there's a little bit more work to be done in that area.
Well, and if you think 50 years ago, not many people chose to be born that way. It is a choice. We choose it before we live it, just like we do any other life lesson, and that makes people mad sometimes. 50 years ago, not many people chose that because not many people would have made it. So when we plan our lives, we didn't talk about this. We plan a beginning, we plan an end. And in that time, we plan exit points where if it gets too much for our soul, or we feel we've learned everything, or we feel we're way off, we can choose to leave and go back to the other side. It's not judged. It's not awful. It's just something that happens. It's a lesson. It's kind of like dropping out of high school. Maybe not great, but we just learn from it and move forward. So we plan, nobody would have made it through. We would all taken exit points had we chosen that life, or chosen a life where we were severely differently abled, or, you know, couldn't get out of bed. Now there's lots of people being choosing to be born with all of these different things, because as a human, full collective consciousness, we're so much more ready to accept them and to make concessions and to embrace these different ways of living. It doesn't mean there's not judgment and hate and all of these things when anybody has any type of what we call a human weakness or something like that, but we are more accepting as a whole. I think sometimes it looks like we're not, because our huge access now to
we see
everything. We never would have known 50 years ago that so-and-so in the States somewhere was bullied this day and the mom came for, we never would have known those things. So we are more aware because something can spread across the world in less than a second, but it doesn't mean there's more of it. There's actually more compassion, more love, more acceptance. We just see the bad stuff.
Yep. And so along with different challenges presenting, people choosing to be born with different things that they have on their plate, you also said that there's more people like you presenting it. And I see that. I mean, if you look back, 20, 30 years ago, it was, sort of like carnival sideshow.
Yep.
Like truly
or the weird radio shows or the call-ins, right?
That's right.
Dial a psychic.
Yeah. Or in the ad in the back of the newspaper is just
with the crystal ball.
That's right. And now there are so many thought leaders and people coming forward with inspiring and teaching messages that if you're drawn to that sort of stuff and you listen to them, interestingly enough, there's a common theme, and there's a lot of sort of the same sort of message that's coming. And I just got tingles right now just thinking about that, because that's what I'm seeing.
Well, and when I first accepted my gifts, I didn't want to research because I really wanted to come to everything naturally. I found myself very impressionable. So if I did hear about, this medium has a problem with this, for my next couple of readings, I would be blocked there. And so I did no research, but my one sister would do the research, and she'd ask me questions to see if I would say the same things that these other super famous psychics and mediums and spiritual leaders would say. We all say the exact same thing. Occasionally it's more religious if somebody's coming at it from a more religious direction. Some psychic mediums, if they're raised Catholic or something, put that spin on it. But we all say the same thing. We all say the same thing about what it means to be human, what our lives mean, how important it is that we come together instead of constantly pushing each other apart. We do say the same things. And now there's even children being born saying what we say because they're I call it human amnesia. When we're born, we have human amnesia. Our consciousness of the other side is gone. Our remember everything is totally gone. And so somebody like me, I was born with remembering, with a consciousness from the other side. And then when I fully accepted my gifts, the walls went down. I still can't see everything. I don't know everything, that's for sure, but I know a lot more than a lot of people. And we're choosing now for a lot more of us to be born that way and a lot more of us to be able to learn what that means. So even if you're not born the way I am, to be able to understand and start to embrace that knowledge. I was burned at the stake in my previous lives. I don't really delve into them that much, but many times I was marked a witch. I was born with a V birthmark in the middle of my head, little trivia, which was like the mark of a witch in the 1500s. That doesn't happen anymore. We're not persecuted. We are laughed at occasionally. I've been called some pretty creative names, but it's more accepted. The talking to dead people, not so much, but the other side of what I do, the connection to the other side, that we all have this higher purpose, much more accepted.
And it's so interesting that there is the common theme. I think, by paying more attention to what's going on in the world and having more compassion. Compassion is something that that we need, and to be less judgy, and that's another where the self-care comes in, because we have to take care of ourselves first, and self-care is not a selfish thing. Practicing regular and a variety ways of self-care is, I always say, it's one of the very best gifts you can give everyone who you're in contact with, because you are a better person. You can show up better when you are taking care of yourself.
And my guides will say self-care or putting yourself first is often referred to from our society as selfish. So if you are paying attention to yourself, it's selfish. If you have a negative sort of background to it, or if you're being awful about it, yes, maybe. But your first priority in your life, the number one thing you should always think about before you think about anything else, is yourself. Are you happy? Are you comfortable, confident? Are you feeling joy every day? Are you taking care of yourself? Your second priority should be, if you're in a relationship, that relationship. Is it happy, joyful? Are you paying attention to it? Your third priority should be your children, if you have them. We have it completely backwards. And that's why, as a society, we are having so many problems with our young people, because we've put them first. And we've said, all right, children, take complete control of your lives and try and figure it out. And we'll just keep lifting you up to do that. We've taken away that care for them, and we've also taken away caring for ourselves. So I think people need to get it out of their head that taking care of yourself is selfish. You cannot take care of anybody else in your life, your job, your family, anything, if you're not taking care of yourself. It's going to be subpar care because you're not taking care of you.
That's right. And when people do that, and a lot of that takes place, and often very much with women, we very many hats. You're taking care of children. A lot of people are working full time, and if you're not ever putting yourself as the priority, after a while, even though you think, I'm doing really great, I'm showing up, I'm doing the work, the boss loves me, the family's all there's a price to pay sometimes for yourself. You're going to end up
I usually end
hurting.
up sick. So I usually take the summers off, and I take December off because I love Christmas. And this year I definitely worked too much, and I ended up so sick, because what we need to understand about our mind, body, soul connection is if you ignore one, the other will give. So our soul will never give. It's on the other side. It's happy. It's content, energetically balanced. So it'll be your mind or your body. If you're overstressing your mind, your body will give to slow you down. If you're overstressing your body, your mind will give to slow you down. So the mind part of it would be, you'll start to have low mood. Maybe you're going to be having some anxiety. You're going to be getting really grumpy, impatient, snappy, or feeling like nothing's ever going to get better. That's if you're stressing your body, so overworking your body. For me, I always overwork my mind. I don't often overwork my body. I'm fairly balanced that way. So if I'm working too much, if I'm too busy with the kids, too busy with everything, my body will go, screw you.
Yeah.
And it'll make me stop. So I don't have a lot of back problems anymore now that I'm sort of energetically balanced. I used to have tons. I don't even know. I've had 12 surgeries. I used to have so many health issues. I don't really have any of them anymore, but I will get sick. So I'll end up with a raging sinus infection out of nowhere, or a horrible cold, or a horrible flu, something that puts me on the couch for at least a week so that I can go, okay, I guess I got to figure this out. Something was going on there. And, nobody to blame but myself, because I saw the signs, because I start getting impatient first. And then my body, when my mind, body, soul connection realizes, okay, she's not going to slow down. She's not going to listen. We've been giving her these little cues. Here you go. You're going to automatically slow down.
We're going to force you to slow down. And that's why this sort of stuff and the gratitude and the joy portion is so, so important for people that do have any sort of ongoing chronic issue, because that overdoing it with your body can sometimes just happen by going on your daily living activities. So you have to really amp up the self-care, and you have to keep things in balance. And it's important, because otherwise, those little tap on the shoulder will come and cut us off at the knees.
Yep. Slow us right down.
So, it's the earth replenishes our energy. We need to go outside when we're feeling low, and our energy really, really matters on what we put out there. And all of this kind of stuff, I find it is absolutely fascinating. So there is another side, though, to the gifts that you do, and that's the mediumship.
Yep.
And that's when so that's very different. You do so on your Facebook posts, which you do regularly. You're interacting with your guides and answering questions and tapping in. And then you also do, I know you do some focus groups with people, and you do individual readings. Yeah. But I want you to tell everybody about the event that you have coming up. Sure. And so tell us what's coming up in March.
So the live events are unique just because it's purely mediumship. There's nowhere else I do that. So private readings, I do soul counseling, psychic work, medical intuition, and mediumship. In the videos I do online, they're just free videos. It's mostly guide work. I don't tap into people's loved ones. So the live events are 2 hours of me walking through the crowd. I have a microphone, and I talk to dead people. So I deliver quick messages, usually maybe 2 or 3 minutes per person, and deliver really important messages from their loved ones that are very short and to the point. I always say it's based on need, not want. So the people who need it, so say you loved your sweet grandma more than anyone in the world, and all you need in the world is to hear from her again, less likely to hear from her than the guy who committed suicide and left his whole family angry at him. More likely to hear from him, just because they sort of prioritize on the other side. They let the ones who will have the most healing from the messages, not necessarily the most love, the most healing from the messages, hear from their loved ones first, because they understand on the other side how the human sort of connection works. So I walk through the crowd for 2 hours delivering messages. This one is going to be unique. Number one, it's on my birthday. Yes. So I bought a sparkly dress, but also Peter's going to be there. So I don't think he'll have any involvement like right at the beginning, but I think I don't know what, because I don't often know. I don't go into anything, even this, knowing what I'm going to do. I go and I show up and I meditate, and then they take over and I take a back seat. So I'm not sure why he's coming or what he wants to say, but I'm excited for it. That's very exciting. So tickets are still available for that. You can message me on my Facebook page. It's just West Coast Medium. And I'm old school. I am not tech savvy, so I literally have a list at home. I write everybody's names down, and there's a list at the door that we check off when you come in. So when and where is it? It is on March 7th at the Nanaimo Golf Club in Nanaimo. It's at 7 p.m. It is first come, first serve seating, but there's not a bad seat in the house because I walk through the whole crowd. So, sitting in the front actually probably is the worst, because then you have to turn around the whole time. Yeah. Well, that's an exciting event. And it's people aren't showing up there
expecting to have any sort of a personal reading, but it's there for, there's a chance that you will communicate with their loved ones that have crossed over. And I also hear that it might be you, but Jessica definitely keeps it entertaining and fun.
Oh my gosh, she is so funny. So for me, if I'm not laughing occasionally, I'll cry. And I never, ever, ever want to cry when I'm working. I think it takes away from whoever I'm talking to. And so she is honestly hilarious. She can be a little foul-mouthed sometimes. My dad comes to them and he does not like that. But she's funny. So it is a night of entertainment. That's like the first sentence in the description of the event on my Facebook page, because it is entertaining. They are amusing. They make us laugh just as much as they make us cry, and they make people cry a lot at the events. And so there is a ton of humor. I always learn something new, and I think everybody that comes learns something new because they always have such amazing messages. And it's just, the 2 hours go so fast. You would not even believe how fast it goes. And it's super, super fun. And all my guides come, and my family comes, and then I do a little meet and greet afterwards. I always take my shoes off because they're super uncomfortable, and then I stand and say hello to everybody and meet and greet and take pictures and that sort of stuff.
Oh, that sounds great. So tickets are still available. It is March 7th at the Nanaimo Golf Club. And again, just go on to Amber's Facebook page, and that's West Coast Medium. Really easy to find, and you just private message her for that, and you get your name on the list. But Amber has wanted to offer up 2 free complimentary tickets to one of our listeners today. So what we would, we just sort of came up with this before we came on air. So we're going to do a post on the Facebook page after the show, and basically looking for, give us a comment. What did you find interesting about today's conversation, or what did you learn? And put those all in, and then we'll gather them all up, and we'll do a draw later this evening. Does that
perfect?
Okay,
yeah.
That sounds great. That's really exciting. It sounds like a really, really super awesome event. As we get ready to close off here, I'm going to give the floor to you for, is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners while you've got a captive audience?
I think just understanding that literally nothing is beyond your control. And I think to some people that sounds horrible because if I was in control of things, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, is what a lot of people are thinking right now. But through mindset, through reframing your perspective, through trying to find something to focus your gratitude and joy on every day, you can honestly change almost anything in your life. You may not be able to let go completely of some of the things you're going through, but you sure as heck can wake up tomorrow and feel a lot better about it. You can have more connection in your life. You can have more of an understanding that things will get better if you believe they'll get better. Because you're suffering in one area of your life does not mean the rest of your life has to be hard. The rest of your life can be beautiful. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. We get stuck in our humanness. We get stuck in our, this is how I'm going to feel every day for the rest of my life. And so I might as well just give up now. What's the point of going out today? What's the point of, cleaning or redecorating or making something pretty or going out with a friend? What's the point of seeing people if all I can do is manage to complain about what's going on for me? Really seeing it as you're pretty blessed that you have somebody to complain to. You are blessed that you have a home that you could make more pretty. You are blessed that you can get up and have that cup of tea, even if you can do nothing else. So really just trying to reframe the way you think about your life and your connection to this life. And then really, really celebrating that you planned this life exactly how you knew you needed it to learn what you need to learn in the time span you have chosen to be human in this physical body. I think we spend so much time hating our physical bodies. And I would say more so for women most of the time. That doesn't mean men don't suffer from that as well. But we spend so much time telling our bodies what they're not doing for us that we are not celebrating what they're doing for us. We're breathing. We can see, most of us. If we can't, we can hear, we can smell, we can touch, we can taste. We have all of these wonderful things about our physical bodies. And if you're constantly complaining about them, you won't be able to see that. So pick out those things that are amazing and are beautiful about yourself, and the things that you can control. If you feel everything in your life is out of control, I guarantee there's something within it that you can. You can control getting up in the morning. You can control playing some piano music, having a cup of tea, reading a good book, calling a friend, trying to reframe something, starting a journal, doing something positive within your day that can change your perspective for the rest of the day. You don't have to sit and be mentally miserable because you're not feeling physically well.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to have a different perspective there.
And that's powerful and encouraging and darned exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's, and especially if we've planned this life and it's going along as it should. We should, not why is this happening? What should we be looking at? I just think it's really,
what are we
really,
learning right
What
now?
are we learning?
And if you start to identify the lessons and stop asking why, that's another reframing. Not why did this happen to me? Why am I going through this? Why can't I figure this out? Why can't I get better? Wow, I must be really strong to be able to learn this lesson right now. So what is it that I'm learning? As soon as you can start to identify the lessons, your guides will stop throwing them at you so hard. It's when we are being stubborn and not listening that our guides are like, hello, wake up, figure it out. Like, we've been telling you this for 15 years, 5 years, 2 months, whatever it is. Look at the lesson, figure out what the lesson is so that you don't, it's like going to school and taking a math class and going, you know what, I don't think I need to learn the math. I'm just going to write the test. Probably going to fail. You want to understand what the lesson is before you go to write the test. But if you keep pretending there is no lesson and you don't want to write a test and instead you want your toddler temper tantrum, you can do that. You're not judged for that on the other side, and it's not a bad thing, but it's going to be a bit more uncomfortable than if you take a minute, take a breath, and try to identify the lesson.
So we have those choices, and we should make the best use of them.
Yep.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much,
You're
Amber,
very
for
welcome.
coming in. This has been fantastic. Again, you can connect with Amber on her Facebook page, West Coast Medium, and watch for the post. We're going to be giving away 2 tickets to her live event, which is coming up on March 7th, which is also her birthday. So thank you again for tuning in to Wellness Wednesday. Next month, I'm going to be focusing on the upcoming Oceanside Health and Wellness Fair, which is taking place in Parksville on March 16th. We still have exhibitor booths available, so if you are interested, check that out. We would love to see you there. Thanks so much again for tuning in to CHLY 1017 here in Nanaimo. This has been Sandra Sova with the Chronic Wellness Radio Show on Wellness Wednesday, and I wish you all a beautiful day, and may we all be chronically well.